So if you only have around $500 to start day trading with, that's actually okay, right? There's nothing wrong with starting with a small account. In fact, I actually think it's way better to start with a lower amount of money because, you know, if you do end up blowing your account, which most beginners do, right, you're gonna lose $500 rather than $10,000. And the other good thing about this is when you can slowly build up your account, right? Let's say you bring your $500 account to $5,000 in a few months or maybe 6 months, you're gonna value that $5,000 account way more because you slowly built it up through your trading every single day versus just depositing $5,000 into your account. So what I wanna do in this video is give you a full guide on how to start trading with a smaller account. There's a few things you need to know, especially if you want to make that $100 per day mark with that smaller account. So that being said, let's get into the video. All right, so if you only have $500 for your trading account, there's two things that I would personally do. There's kind of two options for you. Number one, you start with trading futures, or number two, you trade options. Now, me personally, I would choose futures over options, especially with a smaller account if you're a beginner. The reason being is it's just less confusing. Options are way more confusing to me versus futures. And the other thing is with trading futures, you're trading true price action. There's no volume or time decay like there is with options. So just that alone has given me a way higher win percentage, which can definitely help when you're first starting trading as a beginner with a small account. So anyways, let's first go ahead and talk about how much you can actually make when you're trading futures with, let's say, $500. So for me, I like to trade the S&P 500. So this is /ES. If you go into the chart, this is what I traded today. Actually, this is just, you know, the futures contract. And I actually trade on Trade08, right? So if I go into my P&L for the day, as we can see, I'm up around $1,700, you know, just trading futures. Now, there's two things you can actually trade. So you can trade the E-mini S&P 500. That's what I mainly trade. You can also trade the E-mini micros. Basically, for me, in order for me to buy one contract, I need at least $1,000 in my account. So, and then if I want to trade two contracts, I would have to have $2,000 in my account. Obviously, if you only have 500 bucks, right, what you can do is you can trade the E-mini micros. Okay, this is what my girlfriend trades. She just started trading and she trades with around $500 and she trades the E-mini micro. So basically this is just 10 times less than the E-mini. So basically what this means, in order to buy one contract, you're gonna need around $100 in your account. So you can get started with a few contracts, right? You can trade 2 or 3 contracts starting with that $500. And as far as like how much can you make? So for me, if I'm trading the E-mini, if I were to buy one contract here, every single point would be $50, right? So if it went from 378 to 379, I would make $50 per contract. Now with the E-mini micro, which is what you would be trading with a smaller account, it's gonna be $5 per point. So let's go into the charts and show you how much you can realistically make trading, let's say, 2 contracts with the E-mini micro future. So anyways, as you can see, let's just do the trade I took today, okay? So I'm gonna go into the 1-minute chart. Kind of what I noticed today was we bounced off demand this morning during pre-market and we had a solid trend up. So for me, I was only going to play longs today because the trend was up. I don't normally like to trade against the trend unless we're at a key supply level. So anyways, if we go into where the market opened, as we can see, we opened around right here. It was super choppy. And I was just looking for basically a double bottom that formed today to actually play longs. So as you can see, right when we got this pop up past this resistance, we sold off, got another pop up, and this is where I actually entered my long position with a stop loss 5 points below this wick right here. So anyways, I entered at this 60 level right here. So, and like I said, you're gonna make $5 per contract for every point that the price goes up. Right, so if you're trading 2 contracts, basically every point is 10 bucks. Okay, so my first sell was at around this 70 level, right? So that's 10 points. So if you were trading the micros, you had 2 contracts, right? You can do the math. 10 times 10, you would make $100. Now again, that's only for a 10-point move. I actually rode this thing all the way up to this 85 level. Where I actually had still 1 remaining contract. So I was able to actually squeeze 25 points out of this trade, which would have been 250 points if you're trading the micros and you had 2 contracts. Let's say you only even had 1 contract, that would still be $125 profit trade. So as you can see, if you get 10 points out of this moves, and throughout the day it makes 10-point moves, probably at least 10 to 20 times it'll make 10-point moves. We went from, basically 85 all the way down to 50. So the way I see it, there's no reason you can't make at least $100 per day if you know what you're doing. You're a consistently profitable trader if you're trading the micro minis with around a $500 account size. Now, if you don't want to trade futures, the second option, like I said before, if you're trading with a smaller account, is going to be actually trading options. So this is how I originally started trading. So this is still a great option for me. It's just a little bit more confusing, especially as a beginner, because you're not just hitting buy and sell. You have to pick a certain contract, right? It's a little bit more confusing than futures in my opinion. Now, if I share my screen here, this is Webull. So Webull, you cannot trade futures on Webull. The platform I use to trade futures is something called Tradeovate. But if you want to trade options, I'd recommend using a platform like Webull. As we can see, right, if we go into options right here, I'm going to click on options. We can look at some of the price of these contracts, right? So let's say we want to trade puts right now. As we can see, if we go, a little bit out of the money, these contracts are $1.30, which is actually $130 a piece. So if you have $500, you can easily, buy 2 contracts for your trade, or even 1 contract, which would cost you $130, right? And you can see if I actually click on these contracts, right? So we'll actually go to the chart for these contracts. Let's go into where we actually open. These contracts moved all the way from around $100 all the way up to, that $250 mark. So if you had 2 contracts, you bought them at 100, you rode them all the way up to 250. That's going to be $150 per contract. And if you had 2 of them, obviously that's going to be a $300 profit move. Now, again, the only thing I don't like about options is sometimes, depending on volume and time, these options will decay, especially if you're trading 0 DTEs, meaning these contracts expire on March 20th. So if the move didn't work in the next, 15, 20 minutes, the contract is just gonna automatically lose value from where you bought it, even if price is at the same exact level, right? And obviously if the move doesn't happen by the end of today, March 20th, then you're gonna expire, right? And you're gonna be left with 0 money. Futures doesn't really do that. It's a little bit different where you're trading true price action. If you buy at 39.40 and you sell at 39.40, 4 hours later, it's going to be a break-even loss. You're not going to have any volume or time decay like options do, especially when you're trading 0 DTEs, which most people do when they have a smaller trading account, because 0 DTE options, right, those contracts are way cheaper. So this is why if I was starting from scratch, I was starting with $500 or so, I personally would start with trading futures, specifically the E-mini micros. Now, once you actually decide whether you want to trade futures or options, the next step is just to slowly build your account up and increase size once you're comfortable and consistently profitable. So this is another mistake that I see a lot of people make, including myself when I first started trading, is literally like you start having some wins. Let's say you grow your $500 account to, $3,000, right? Well, now instead of trading with the same dollar amount, let's say you're trading a few contracts, so you're still trading with a few $100s. They'll go from trading a few contracts to now 10, 15, 20 contracts. And now they're trading with their full account size, right? They're trading with $3,000. And now one loss for them could be, $500, $600, $700. And what happens when you do that, you're not used to losing that amount of money, right? They're used to losing, $50 at a time, $100 at a time at the most. So that big jump, what that does is it just makes you be more emotional. So now you just lost $700, you had a red trade. Fine, there's nothing wrong with that, right? We're all gonna have red trades, but now you might be more emotional and you might start revenge trading, and then you take another bad trade, and all of a sudden your account that you worked so hard for to actually build up from 500 to 3,000, now it's back to 500, right? And you have to start all over again. So this is why it's so important to really slowly size up. Size up as slowly as you possibly can. Once you're consistently profitable trading with a certain dollar amount, let's say it's that $500 amount level, trade with that for 2-3 months, then start trading with, let's say, $1,000 rather than 500, or just add on a few more contracts at a time and just slowly do that. And this is how you can slowly scale throughout the years. And this is how you can go from trading with that $500 to that $1,000 mark, then that $1,500 mark, then that $2,000 mark, then to that $3,000 mark, mark, then to that $5,000 mark. And this is really how you can go from making that, $100 per day consistently to that $1, $2, $3, $4, even $5,000 per day consistently. But again, you can't do it too fast. Don't try to be a hero and make a big jump to a huge dollar amount. You're probably just gonna lose more money that way. Instead, slowly increase the size, do it over time. Get yourself comfortable trading with more money, losing more money, making more money. I think this is all super important when you're trying to build up a trading account, especially when you're starting with a smaller dollar amount. So anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions for me around this, leave it in the comments below. Happy to answer any questions you guys have. And if you guys want to see exactly how I trade, my exact day trading system, be sure to download a free copy of my day trading guide. This shows the 5 steps I use to actually take trades in the market. So anyways, if you want a free copy of this guide, all you have to do is click on the first link in the description below, or just head over to this link right here. With that being said, guys, as always, trade smart, trade safe, and I will see you in my next video.